We now know that when artists say Rain Man, the majority of the time they are referring to a devil. However, some argue that artists are simply referring to an autistic character from the movie, Rain Man, released in 1988. They try to prove this with Jay-Z's interview, where he mentions Rain Man mumbling numbers.
So it's like a mumbling effect. In Rain Man, he was always mumbling all these numbers, rattling off these amazing numbers. And he was like, I guess, an idiot savant in the movie, Dustin Hoffman. So I guess I'm an idiot savant as well.
Jay-Z is indeed talking about the autistic character from the movie, because the movie is referring to Rain Man, the devil. Do you know who owns Hollywood? Exactly. The movie Rain Man was made to symbolize Rain Man, the devil. It was also created because they knew people would ask questions and find out who Rain Man really is. So, by having a fictional movie Rain Man, people will automatically assume that music artists are referring to the movie character. This led some to question why artists would even hint that Rain Man is a devil, as well as admitting to selling their souls to him, because then, the movie Rain Man would not have needed to been created. The answer is very complex. To make it short, for millennia, the Illuminati have known the power of the unconscious and the superconscious mind. Although these are in fact your own resources, they have and still are effectively using them against you, because you allow it. It's the same reason why they intentionally place their symbols everywhere. Our thoughts create matter, and they know the significance of occult symbols and references which enter our subconscious mind. An example of this is Rihanna's song, Umbrella. The song is not about a woman's love for a man, it tells a complex story within which Rihanna, the good girl, is transformed into Rihanna, the bad girl, because of Rain Man. The whole song is about the devil. Some of you are probably wondering if there is any physical or visual proof of Rain Man to further validate the entity. Rain Man is seen in Rihanna's Umbrella music video. The following narrated video clip you are about to hear is by Lennon Honor, who has very carefully analyzed the Umbrella music video in great depth.
There are several things that immediately stand out about this frame. Something is not quite right here. It is probable that you have already sensed that something strange is going on in this frame. Let us take a closer look. First of all, it appears as if Rihanna is bent over, her head bowed low, her face against the floor. Her legs are parted, her arms upstretched, angled behind her. This frame is dualistic in nature. It tells two stories simultaneously. Look closely at Rihanna's hair. There are only a few strands leaning down towards the ground. How is this possible? If her head is fully bowed, then shouldn't all of her hair be leaning down towards the ground? Shouldn't the hair on the back of her head fold over towards the ground as well? Wouldn't gravity make this so? Secondly, there are anatomical impossibilities present in this frame. The distance between Rihanna's bowed head and shoulders is anatomically disproportionate. Given the relative position of her trapezius muscles and pectoralis major muscles, Rihanna's neck would have to be about 11 inches long in order for her head to reach that low. From this position, her neck would also have to be stretched downward at an anatomically impossible angle. But this is not all. The fact that we can simultaneously see the trapezius muscles and the pectoralis major muscles indicates that this frame has been doctored, changed, or digitally edited. The trapezius muscles and the pectoralis major muscles are posterior and anterior respectively. In other words, they are opposite of each other, one existing at one's back, the other at one's front. So then, how is it possible that we are able to see both so clearly here? Unless this picture has been somehow altered. But why would it be altered? What purpose would it serve to alter this picture in such a way? Let's look closely at this area. What is this small horizontal line here? Is it some sort of protruding bone? Is it some sort of spontaneous mutation, the effect of which has formed bone structure only existing on one human being on the planet? If this is bone structure, then why is it not visible on the other side? This is not some protruding bone. This frame has been purposely altered. This small horizontal line is in actuality a right eye. We can therefore add the left eye, eyes, eyebrow ridges, small forehead region, top of head, horns, snout, mouth, miscellaneous bone structure. The head of Rain Man is in plain sight. So why did we not see this in the first place? Well, this frame is extremely brief, which makes it only accessible on a subconscious level. By freezing the frame and taking a more critical look, we can register all of these subliminal elements on a conscious level.
Although that is not actually Rain Man, Rihanna's posture was purposely altered to create the face of Rain Man. There are many devils, and they are located in a different dimension to ours. They can only be seen mentally, like how we usually visualize our dreams, by incredibly evil people through occult rituals. Devils cannot take control of your soul, but they can heavily influence it if you invite evil. Our minds are very powerful, and once influenced, we can be made to look like we are being possessed by having violent seizures and making disturbing noises. The higher-ups in Hollywood do not want the artists to realize that devils cannot actually possess you, because if they do, they are able to turn towards God to be saved. There have been cases of music artists doing exactly this. Once an artist sells his soul, a devil becomes his companion. The biggest part of selling your soul is believing that Satan is worthy of worship and that God isn't. And he who turns away from the remembrance of the gracious God, we appoint for him a Satan, who becomes his companion. Artists who sell their soul eventually end up depressed, and some sing about it in their songs.